Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Professor Anime, and welcome back to yet again another anime review for the fall 2017 season. Well, more so, I guess, my thoughts on one of the new anime to air this fall season of anime. And that is Houseki no Kuni, otherwise known as Land of the Lustrous. Now, I've gotten a couple of, recommendations, people asking me to check out this series, and I've been trying to get to it. I have been, uploading a lot of videos when it comes to this season because simply, I'm just having a lot of fun with the shows that are coming out this season, but I will probably have to end up, putting some shows on the back burner when it comes to reviewing. And it could be even this show. I'm just simply bringing you this video to basically give my overall thoughts on what I think about the series thus far from the first 3 episodes, but don't really expect me to review the series in its entirety because there's a lot of shows that I might have to drop from reviewing. I will, in fact, be watching, these shows to the very end, but when it comes to, reviewing certain shows, I'm gonna have to drop a few just so I don't get burnt out. But anyways, with that said, here are my thoughts for Houseki no Kuni. Alright, so when it comes down to Houseki no Kuni, Land of the Lustrous, I gotta say, it's a very interesting series from what I have seen in these past 3 episodes. So before we begin and basically talk about what the episode, or the series, excuse me, is all about, first let me talk to you about the CGI usage throughout the show. Yes, that is right. This show has CGI, and it's entirely CGI base. Now, I know for a fact there's going to be some of you out there who are going to be like, yo, okay, I don't really think CGI is my cup of tea, so I'm most likely not going to check out this show. Well, to be completely honest with you guys, I watch shows in CGI. Some are better, some are worse. CGI usage in anime can make or break the series. It really can, especially when it comes down to a series that is solely CGI based. But I will tell you this, Land of the Lustrous Houseki no Kuni is definitely probably one of the best shows that I have seen, in recent memory that, has a show dedicated to full-on CGI. Like, I really, really like the animation and art style within this show, especially how pretty some of the characters are because they're all based off of gemstones, which we will get to in a bit. But the characters look nice, the art and animation looks nice, even the grass looks nice. I mean, everything about this series is entirely in CGI, and it looks really good. It looks good to the point into which the 3D models for the characters almost look like 2D, characters from anime that you typically watch because of the fact that it flows. The animation really does flow. And speaking about flow, the cinematography when it comes to the show as well, when it comes down to the fight scenes and stuff like that, like, it looks really good. Like, there's not really a break in when it comes to this show. Whoever the director is behind this show is doing a very good job. And the animation team behind it is doing a very good job as well. So, that alone, when it comes down to the animation and the art and everything, I will say that definitely gives this show a thumbs up because it is definitely one of the best uses of CGI that I have seen in quite some time. Now, as far as the story is concerned regarding Houseki no Kuni, I am still trying to fully comprehend as to what this show is about, necessarily, and what the goal of, the series is really about. So, let me first give you the rundown on what we know of the show so far. Basically, we have it to where there are around 28 characters who are basically gemstones. And some of these characters have lived for like 300 years. They are, basically immortal at this point because they are gemstones, and they can even if they are broken, they can go ahead and reform themselves with the help of another gemstone who has an active role as a doctor, helping them reform to what they are. And each of these 28 gemstones has a certain role you know, amongst, you know, I guess the place in which they reside in. Now, when it comes down to some of these gemstones, however, while there's a lot of characters, you really don't have to know a whole lot of, you know, the gemstones, because there are certain characters that do get a little bit more characterization than others. We have it to where our main, I don't know. Some of these characters, like, I read the description on Houseki no Kuni, you know, when it comes down to our main character in the series, and it is listed as a boy. The main character is apparently a boy, apparently from the synopsis of this show, but all the characters look female. So yeah, at least from watching this series, it seems as though the whole cast is females. Now, if our main character, named Foss, is actually a male character, let me know in the comments down below. But, you know, most of these characters in the show are female, as far as I'm aware of. However, the leader of, you know, who basically, you know, is the headmaster of the gemstones is obviously male. He's technically a monk and oversees everything, and basically gives each of the gemstones an active role as to what they do. Some are doctors, some are medics, you know, some are combatants. We even have our main character, Foss, who is technically, you know, the weakest of the gemstones. Some are harder than others, you know, and when it comes down to how weak Foss is as a main character, she or he cannot really fight, okay? Cannot really fight whatsoever. So, to compensate for this, we have it to where the headmaster basically gives Foss the role of making an encyclopedia. However, Foss does not really like this because Foss wants to live an exciting life and finds combat to be very, very cool and wants to be like the other gemstones before her. But the thing about this is that, you know, she is tasked with creating an encyclopedia and pretty much writing down everything about the gemstones and the moon dwellers, who are basically like the opposing force of this show, who are like poachers who hunt down these gemstones and try to capture them in order to use whatever they want to use them for the moon. So even that is shrouded in mystery. We don't really know why exactly they are coming after the gemstones and why they are turning them into whatever, you know, they desire for the moon. We don't really have a solid grasp on that. But the interesting thing about this is that even some of these, you know, moon dwellers who are in search of these gems, you know, even depending on how weak or how strong they are, they will more or less go after these gemstones, you know, without a second thought and use them for whatever they are going to use for them on the moon. However, there is one character that we got introduced into this series that has like a darkish reddish hair, and basically she is kind of like poison amongst the whole society. You know, when it comes down to her overall, you know, ability, basically everything around her can necessarily turn her to poison. And this in turn has actually posed a threat to, you know, the other gemstones' lives, and necessarily she can't really interact with, you know, the Society of the Gemstones where they reside. So her active role as a gemstone is to basically steer away from society because she is poisonous. And even when it comes down to that ability, the moon dwellers, they ain't having that because it makes sense. I mean, you know, if you are poisonous, you know, to one society in which you reside in, you're most likely going to be poisonous in the other society. And I mean, whatever the moon dwellers are going to use, you know, these gemstones for, if they end up taking, you know, poison and using it for whatever resource they're going to use it for, it's just definitely going to poison their environment and put them at a disadvantage to whatever they are using, you know, that gemstone for. So even though there are around 28 characters within this series, you really don't have to know who everyone is necessarily, and it's just good to know that these characters have active roles. Some are stronger than others, you know, when it comes to physical combat. Some are stronger in the sense that they are hardened, like it actually takes a while before they can break. Now, Foss, I believe, is like the one of the weakest, I believe, but the red hair girl who is the poisonous is actually, you know, I think the weakest amongst the members of the gems, as far as I'm aware of. So yeah, when it comes down to the story for Houseki no Kuni, otherwise known as Land of the Lustrous, we really don't have an overall, you know, understanding as to what is fully going on, but hopefully later on as the story progresses, you know, it will, you know, start to make sense as to what the true goal of this series is, and for our characters as well, because all we really have at the moment is that there are 28 gemstones who each have an active role in, you know, society, you know, wherever they reside in, and then there is also the moon dwellers who come down to poacher them, try to capture them, and use them for whatever materials they are trying to use them for on the moon. But we still don't really have, you know, an exact reasoning or motive as to why they are trying to capture them, you know, besides using them for materials on the moon, you know. So I'm very curious as to where the story is going to go from here on out. Hopefully it gets more interesting, because I mean so far Houseki no Kuni is in fact an interesting series, especially amongst, you know, the other anime that have, you know, came out of this fall 2017 season. This isn't a cliche, you know, series whatsoever. This is actually quite unique in the way it's presented, and the animation is definitely something, you know, while it's CGI, you know, it's definitely one of the prettiest, you know, series to look at. So yeah, when it comes down to this series, I really enjoy it. I really do. I find it to be an interesting series and very pretty to look at. Like, the animation is very stunning for CGI. I really like on how the CGI uses is done in this series, and even the cinematography is actually really cool, especially when it comes down to the fight scenes. I'm loving the transitions and everything. So far, this series has a lot of potential, and many will probably consider this to be the hidden gem. That was a pun. I meant to do that. I meant to. But yeah, this series isn't probably going to be, you know, for everyone because of the CGI, and also because the story isn't exactly too fleshed out at the moment, but hopefully, you know, it will flesh out later on. So I'm going to continue watching this series. I don't really know if I'm going to continue reviewing this series, because as I stated before in the beginning of this review, don't expect me to, you know, review this series constantly as the episodes come out, because of the fact that, you know, there is just so much other stuff that I am reviewing at the moment, and I'm also going to have to drop some shows from reviewing here on the channel. I'm still going to watch them, of course, but I might have to drop some shows from reviewing them just so I don't get burnt out, you know, because there's quite a lot of videos I'm putting out, and I do apologize if I am spamming. I do apologize. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about my personal thoughts and opinions, you know, down in the comments down below of Houseki no Kuni. Sorry if this video was long, sorry if this video was all over the place, but as I said, this is just simply giving you my overall thoughts on what I thought about the first few episodes of Houseki no Kuni, and so far, I enjoyed it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and with that said, I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.